M Studios brought to you by Old Mutual.
Hello everybody, and a warm welcome to Nasty C's Zulu Man with Some Power podcast series brought to you by M Studios by Old Mutual. Right now, I am coming at you guys from M Studios in Newtown, which is an incredible world-class facility that was put together by the good people at Old Mutual. As you can see, they've got a dope stage behind me with incredible lighting and a full PA system. There's a recording studio, a boardroom, and so many other facilities that you guys can use if you want to take your career to the next level. For more information, make sure you check out this website that is strapped below. Since the very beginning of his career, Nasty C has been a big thinker. He's always tried to do things differently, and that's probably why he's advanced to the international level where he is today. So to celebrate the release of his third album, Zulu Man with Some Power, he has called upon some industry professionals to break down what really happens behind the scenes in the music industry. So whether you're an artist, whether you're a content creator, whether you're an aspiring music manager, there's so much cool information in this series that you definitely want to check out. All right, guys, so you might need your passport for this episode because Nasty C is taking us all around the world. He sits down with international hip-hop DJ Whoo Kid. He also sits down with a megastar from Nigeria, MI, and also has a discussion with the pioneer of the Nigerian music industry, Obi Asika. So what's really cool about this episode is that the story comes out of how DJ Whoo Kid first heard about Nasty C through A$AP Ferg. Some important things to look out for. How do you carve an international career being a young kid from Africa, and what does the international market look for in music? Check it out. The time is now.
M Studios brought to you by Old Mutual.
Let's talk Afrobeat, which Nasty C gave me like the big wake-up call because I embarrassingly put him in that spot when I first met him because when we were doing the mixtape, I was like, what do you want to add? You want to add some Afrobeat like songs? And he was like, what the f***? I'm a rapper. Like, he wasn't disrespecting Afrobeat, but I didn't get the full history background on him being like a spitter until I spoke to A$AP Ferg. You know, A$AP Ferg gave me an immediate update on Nasty C. So that's one of the reasons why I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, yo, ain't he from Africa? But that's that's how America look at every African artist, whether you're a rapper or whatever. It's just like you're an Afrobeat artist. You know
that's what we're trying to change. That's what we're trying to change right now. We have to put an end to that. You know, people have to start looking at us as talented people, period, across the board. Like, we can do everything. It's not just Afro beats. Like, you know what I mean? They try to put us in this little box and they try to, like, we're not one-dimensional, bro. We got everything here, though.
But you know what's crazy? Like, here, Afrobeat has a meaningful history in Africa because they know all the artists, they know all their upbringing, they know, like, the origins of where the music come from. In America, it's just like it's like a fad. It's just like, you know, you go to the like pool party in Vegas or you go to like an event and it's just twerk music. It's just like designed, yo, I got now I'm going to twerk with that. So, but they don't know like any artist from there, like Drug Bud, like my boy, Afrobeat. They don't know like the names or the faces of who it is. They just know the song because they heard it. And they want to hear it to turn up at a party, you know? And then it's either a culture vulture situation or anyone who's like African or European or from overseas or they brought the culture to the club. It's not like it's imprinted to us like reggae. Like reggae, we know like, you know, all the reggae artists, we know like, you know, the origins of like, because we're getting the music so fast, we don't have time to figure out like who this artist is. It's just an Afrobeat. I never saw like a genre of music that's just used for like party purposes, you know, unless you're African or you're like, you know, like Caribbean or cultural, you'll respect Afrobeat because you're really into it. But a regular American is just when it comes on, oh, I heard it somewhere. And then I see it was, you know, it's a visual thing. I saw the party was popping, so this got to be good. And they ride it. And they see all the dances. They ride the dances, you know, because those dances are crazy. And they're all like African respected, you know, like there's origins where those dances come from like Zulu tribes like that, where the chicks, but they look at it like it's like a meme and shit here. You know what I'm saying? But now it all makes sense when Nasty C told me that, yo, he is an artist and he's not part of like the bullshit that America view on how we see African artists, man. But I'm just telling you how we look at it, you know what I'm saying? But it's unfair for me because I'm a DJ. You know, I have to analyze everything, and I tour. I go overseas, so it's easy for me to understand the music. And I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've hung out with artists, and you know. But
it's your job. Like, it's your job to find people like me. Like it's like your duty.
But the average person is gonna come and go. I don't know if it really went, you know. But it's not like maybe because of the COVID, everybody's stuck. And there haven't been any events for us to like absorb more Afrobeat culture for us, but it just came here so fast. Like Canada and maybe I think Canada is the only place like you could go where it's kind of like respected, like they understand Afrobeat. Canada, like America is kind of like following Canada and following like the memes. So the more memes that you guys got to combine with American artists, just for us to like even stop and understand that, yo, Afrobeat is still here. But it just came in and went out so quick. And I think Nasty C saw that also, you know what I'm saying, on the way we think, you know what I mean? So I'm glad you put me up on that. I'm not part of the zombies over here anymore, man. I'm not part of this. Like he gave me a crazy wake-up call. And I was actually, that's the only time I was embarrassed. I was actually like, with my experience with artists and shit, I was really embarrassed. It's just like me calling gigs, and then I'm telling gigs like, you know, he's like drill or some shit, or he's dubstep, and drill be like, yo, man, I'm a artist, yo.
Gigs will come at you with that deep shit, the conscious. Yeah, gigs will you up, bro. Gigs he's not one of those artists. I'm telling you, he's not one of those artists, man. He's different. Gigs is different.
Yeah, like he gave me one of your yell ats. Like he yelled at me the way you yelled at me, yo. Like,
that's crazy.
But it starts there. It really starts there because we need an understanding. But the music is coming out so fast that I don't think Americans or anyone could like stop to try to study because we're really just trying to like just have fun here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you have to look at it from a Nigerian context, right? This is a culture that started maybe 20 years ago and just been growing. I mean, it's just because of how America is, how huge it is, and how many cultures there are within, you know, this country. You know, I think that everything that comes from outside will always, you know, break into America last. And I also think that a lot of these definitions of like Afrobeat and stuff, they mean more to like people outside the culture than within. Like within the culture, like this is a movement of like African musicians, and we've been had dope MCs like from time, like some of the dopest rappers, Moozlie, Double HP, Pro Kid, like people that like I grew up listening. They've been part of the culture and been pushing the movement forward. And like I remember, I was nominated for BET Award in 2009, I think it was, and I remember I'm in the States, like at what's the name of the hotel in Beverly Hills? SLS or something. I'm standing outside. It's like Drake. Yeah, it's like all these guys, and I'm like, yo, like young kid, like. And I remember coming back home, and I was like, man, this is gonna be so hard. Like, from where we are, like, and now, like, the world has completely changed. You know what I mean? So for us, it's like it's a wave that's coming, and I want to use that to talk about like the first time. So I'm in the studio one day working, and it was Ice Prince actually. A rapper, like huge rapper here, that was like, yo, you need to hear this kid, Nasty C. He played me Nasty C's like a couple, and I remember I just sat, like, I always say this about artists, is like finding out mutants exist. Like you hear someone that's so like, yo, they've arrived, like the next generation are here. And I think I tweeted at you, and you responded to the tweet. I remember, and like on my timeline, like SA blew up. People were like, yo, you know Nasty C. Like, I'm so excited about where the music is. I'm excited about where hip hop is. It's had his own journey. And then also salute to people like yourself, Whoo Kid, like that are actively making those connections. You know what I mean? Because America is so big, like people don't have to care about what's happening in the UK or care about what's happening in Africa. So it has to be like someone that is like, look, I want to meet people and learn you know what I mean? And then, you know, use those bridges to grow culture. As Black people around the world, man, like one of the most beautiful things I see now is that, you know, that bridge is starting to be properly built between, you know, people in the States, in the UK, and Africa. We're starting to communicate and talk.
And for the longest of time, it's always felt like we on this side were the ones that were trying to build the bridge, and it felt like we didn't have anybody to meet us halfway. You know what I mean? That's why this shit Whoo Kid is doing right now is very important, man. It's like that humble card you tried to play earlier. Don't do that, bro. Like you are the guy. Trust me, bro. Like you one of the ones, bro. One of the anchors.
I mean, being humble is the reason I survived like 30 years of hip hop. Like I've survived every genre, so I'm kind of like a hip hop relic. But I understand, like,
you gotta understand the magnitude of what you're doing, bro. The magnitude of what you're doing, bro.
But the world is really a small place, man. Especially with like I said it before, with technology and everything. Like, I can't talk about nobody no more. You know, I met some guy in Kazakhstan that I went to school with. Like, what you doing here? Like that. Like, I can't really be talking about people no more. So, and it goes the same with like the universal language of music, where symbolism and the art of hearing like music is what I mastered for some reason. But it's not even mastering, it's just like grown with it for 40 years that some people be bugged out. And I think this is one of the reasons why I stay looking the way I look, because I have to assimilate to like what goes on without looking stupid too, man. It's like, you could be like the old that looks stupid and the kids ain't with you. But when you see like, you know, like Young Thug, like I just interviewed Lil Kid like a couple weeks ago, and then I didn't know that Nasty got a record with Lil Kid. So that was like a good, like cool little shock right there, where these kids want to with me, and then he with the kids that want to with me too. So as long as these kids teach me, because I am not afraid to learn, man. As long as you're not afraid to learn, you will survive like the years.
Yes.
And I'll talk to Nasty today, and then I'll talk to Snoop Dogg in 20 minutes, T.I. in a couple hours. Like, it's different people, all walks of life that I talk to. And, you know, Willie Nelson hitting me up, like talking about weed is like super random. But at the end of the day, it makes sense because being humble is the reason why Willie Nelson's my homeboy. You know what I'm saying? And then my humbleness really, I think Africa kind of like me up, because we've been reading about that shit in the storybooks, and you know, we see all the Zulu skirts, and you know, when you're in kindergarten and they have all the cultures of everywhere, people all over the world, you see the Ethiopia, everybody's naked, everybody's starved. You see the same bullshit promo. But when me and 50 Cent, I told Nash to see this, when me and 50 Cent went to South Africa, and that really woke 50 Cent up. Like, we literally were like putting mixtapes together in the basement of my mother's house to hang with Nelson Mandela. So that kind of like humbled us so much. And we physically see that, you know, we can physically see there's beautiful parts of Africa, there's rich parts of Africa, and there's poor parts of Africa. But in America, we don't get all three of those. We just get the one thing that the so-called, you know, whoever's in control, they're just giving us the same bullshit. You know, the Ethiopian, we got some money there, blah, blah, blah. Somebody else is getting the money. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm just one of the fortunate ones where I'm just not stuck in Atlanta. Like, you know, if you talk to me, I'm not stuck in New York. I'm not stuck in Brooklyn. Like, I'm not in a box because I've been everywhere. So it's easy for me to even, like, you know, some rappers can't talk to Nasty C because they just don't, they wouldn't be able to relate generically because they're in a box, whether it's their accent, whether they're drug dealers, whether they grew up poor, up, and they have one way of looking at shit. I could communicate with him. I could even understand like what he's trying to do. You know what I'm saying? But it's making sense when you see that he's with T.I., they get together, and it makes sense for them to even create like a record that could give us like an awareness where it doesn't look like it was forced. You know, there's mad rappers that did songs because they don't want to look stupid during all this shit going on with the protests, and like you really have to like really watch how you put your shit out there. And then the T.I. thing and him was put so organically where T.I. even hit me. He was like, yo, you know, this kid, I heard about this kid, like, you know, but it needs guys like me to be like, nah, you got with Nasty C, man. This is the future. Because if I didn't tell T.I. that, it wouldn't refurbish like his final decision. Like, he already has a decision to work with Nasty C, but you need guys like me to be like, yo, you got with it, man. Trust me. you know? So Nasty C said it earlier, like, you know, for guys like me, there's other DJs, there's other producers. We need people like that to reinforce the trust, you know? But Nasty C is going to bring me into his world where I'm going to be you guys now. Like, you know, maybe this is why I needed to like really enforce myself with the production, with the, you know, I need to know who these guys are, who the top spitters are. For 20 years, these guys have been rocking all over Nigeria and all over like Ghana. I need to know who these other guys are. I'm not afraid to learn and add that to my point in time in this thing called hip hop. You know, I'm just a dot jumping up in and out. You know what I'm saying? But my goal is to combine with SEC in my own way. You know what I mean?
It's so dope that you don't shy away from just like taking time to actually know about us and know about what we're about. You know what I mean? What we're trying to do, what our message is, what our narrative is. Because if you think about it, you're really the guy out there that's flying our flag. You have to understand what the fuck we're trying to do before you tell people what we're trying to do. Like you just have to. You know what I mean? So it's really dope that you take that time and you actually connect, and it's not just like a cosign thing. A lot of people think they could cheat it with just a cosign, but it takes more than that, bro. It takes way more than that.
I look at it in levels. So I already did the little blueprint, like we did the mixtape. So that's a point in time. Now I gotta figure out, like, you know, I see you're maneuvering in your own way, but I could go the corporate way. Like I had a billionaire guy fly me to Daytona Beach 2 days ago. I'm sitting there meeting with him, and then he's with the girl that represents NBA Africa. That's what I'm saying. Like, the world is just so small that I could bring Nasty C in the corporate level now, because I'm like, yo, that brings the level of like, I did the Nasty C project, and then the NBA Africa chick is like, what? And, you know, she's from South Africa and all that, and they working it out, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, she just couldn't believe that I came there and I'm just some black guy, iced out, talking to a 65-year-old billionaire that wants to work with me. But now he owns NASCAR. Why I can't have Nasty C come here and perform at NASCAR? Even if he's just like one of my artists just jumping out. You know, I have like Eminem perform, but in my set, I could have Nasty C come out in front of a whole different market, and then it will all make sense. You know,
whether it's
like an EP, NASCAR, because NASCAR, they say all their fans are dying out. They're like 80, 90. They're looking at the urban community. You know what I'm saying? They want to keep surviving. Like, believe it or not, man, this shit crazy. You know?
Yo,
but we never look at it at a corporate level.
This is your chance to put me in there. This is your chance to put me in there, bro. You know, I'm trying to get to that billion before I'm like 35, 36. I need to have my billion, so you have to put me in there, bro. You're
right. The thing is, I just interviewed him last week, and then he said, yo, I want to be a billionaire at 35, and then literally 4 days later, I'm in a meeting with a billionaire. So it's like, you know, fate it works crazy. But I'm the type of guy that never, like, I always look at, like, doing mixtapes, doing production, doing work, like, as work. That's like the work stage. But then you have to think outside with your brain. Like, there's other things going on that if you could integrate with that shit, it's over. Like, the corporate world is where you want to dominate and you can survive forever. You understand? So I think it's just, you know, fate is the best thing in the world, man. That's the only reason I'm here. Not to mention I almost got kidnapped in Africa and in Nigeria a couple times.
Oh, for real?
That's fate too, man.
What?
I gotta hear that story, bro. What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
I gotta hear that.
I forgot who the Nigerian
in Lagos.
Yeah, it was in Lagos. I was on tour with 50 Cent. We had to do 4 shows for the.
I remember that shit. I remember that shit. That was
Yo, Nasty is really up, man. It's like, you know, real quick. We were supposed to perform for like 4 shows, so we did one show. But the son of the beer company is like a gangster rapper in Nigeria, well known, and he's like street orientated. So we get on the jet that they gave us. We allowed like the opening acts to fly with us, but you know they go in the back of the plane. So in the front of the plane is us. So the Nigerian rapper is like sitting on the seat, like where 50 sits. He want to sit next to 50. So I'm like the last guy to get in the plane. So you know when they move the staircase, all I hear is they yelling at the guy, you gotta get up, you gotta get up. We're gonna count to 5. If you don't get up, we're gonna throw you off the plane. But I don't know if the gangster rapper that they were talking to. So they count 1, 2. Well, they didn't even get to 5. All I heard was 3. All I heard was punches. They were beating the hell out of this guy. And then they grab him, and I'm trying to tell them that, yo, the staircase is not there anymore. They moved the staircase. They still threw the guy out the plane. So the guy got thrown out the plane. Everybody's laughing, blah, blah, blah. And then the pilot is like, yo, did you just throw that guy out the plane? The pilot is scared because he's from Nigeria. He's like, yo,
he knows.
They killed my family. Yeah, they know my family. They know all this shit. So now we stop laughing, but then we're like, 50 Cent's manager's like, man, start the plane. We out of here. Once he started the plane, we're about to leave. Yo, Nigerians came out of everywhere, like Uzi, like AKs. I don't know what kind of guns they had. They surrounded the plane. They made the plane stop, like on the runway while we're there.
Oh, talk.
So I'm like,
Colin told me about this. Colin actually told me this story. What? That's crazy.
You know what's? It's a famous story, man. It's a famous story. It's a famous story. Emma, you were
I was not even like popping yet. But what's so crazy about the story is that this single story changed how brands started treating Nigerian artists. Because the guy is like, I mean, no matter what any Nigerian artist want to say about him.
Exactly.
Like, Nasty, I don't know if you've had this thing where at a certain point in like, whether you guys experienced it, where international artists would get treated different, like different hotels. His name is Idris Abdul Karim, the legend, right? And he got in the plane, actually. This is his own perspective. He got in the plane, he's sitting in economy, and he's like, why do I got to sit in economy? So he gets up and goes to business class, even though he knew that business class was already, and it wasn't 50's fault, right? They'd already booked them, they got the tickets for them. They're coming on the plane, whatever. But he got kicked out of the plane. He did a record about it.
He dissed them heavy.
But immediately after that, every brand knew, like, yo, you gotta treat Nigerian artists differently. I want to say one more thing. Oh, man, I forgot.
You say it changed the way the brands look at artists?
Yo, it changed. And what's crazy is that I would see that. So I can't remember if it was AKA and I that had the conversation when he came to Nigeria and he was looking around. He was like, yo, like guys are on billboards and saying like Nigerian artists inspired like people to take their business more seriously, right? Because I think Nigerians were a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of like demanding from brands. Like, yo, you got to treat us like however you treat those guys. But literally all that like happened in a moment because of Idris Abdul Karim.
We did escape. They pressed the escape hatch where, you know, the comes out when the plane crashed. So we all slid down the like, it was ridiculous. But the thing that was so hilarious is we had Olivia. I slid down the slide first. So I ran to the bulletproof car. So, you know, out there, they always pull out whoever's in front to kill them first. What I did is I tied the wires to the door to the stick shift. You know what I'm saying? So to keep the door like, you know, Obi, you don't want to know, man. To keep the door.
Was it that crazy? Was it? That's crazy.
No, it was really, it was really bad. I've been watching movies where they pull it out the front and then they shoot him. So I saw this wire in the front. I just tied the door thing to the stick shift with the driver in it, and then I told the driver to lock it. Yo, all I heard was boom, boom, boom. 50 Cent was in the back. I think 50 Young Buck. The whole G Unit was in this little ass seat in the back. And the last person to come down was Olivia off the slide. Like, I was like, yo, we're going to die today. We shut the door, and we had James Cruz. I don't know if you ever met James Cruz. You definitely met James Cruz. He's the only one that was outside the car. So we said, yo, go talk to the guys and tell them what's up. He went to go talk to the rapper who, I don't know who he was talking to, some leader or something. And then the representative was a girl that represented the beer company. They smacked the girl. So that's when I was like, okay, we're going to die. This is like, so I'm yelling at 50 like, yeah, man, you got me out here. I'm about to get killed, man. Yeah. She was like the rep or whatever. I called my mom. And I called like this crazy millionaire that got private jets all over the world. I was like, yo, you have a private jet in Nigeria, man? We got to get the out of here. So that's the two things, right? The guy and James Cruz told the rapper, but then I guess he was like, all right, cool. We'll let y'all leave or whatever. Because we could have got right there. There was no escape.
But did y'all mend the situation though? Did you guys come to terms at least? Like, did you guys squash that?
Oh no. He told 50, yo, he good. He could go to the next city. But 50, he's a street. He was like, nah. Tell him that we're gonna go to the next city, or we're gonna go to the airport. 50 Cent went to the airport and bought last minute 20-some tickets for the whole production, whole crew, and we all went home that day. We all went. The promoter was on the flights with us. He went to Paris with us. I landed in New York in the dead of winter with shorts, slippers. We left everything. We left our bags. We left our clothes. We don't know all the equipment. This crazy. And then the funny thing is, everybody from the plane, like our barber, our baggage handler, all the production guys, they ran all over the place. So when the guy said we could leave, my barber was in the wheel of the plane. Nigga came out the wheel it was this guy was
was this one of the big planes like the Boeings?
Yeah, it was a big ass plane that they gave us to go from. But there was a security guard called Voltron. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yeah, that's
famous security guard.
That's my guy. My guy, man.
Voltron. So once we saw Voltron was scared, I was like, we're gonna die. Voltron was throwing everybody around, and he was nervous. Once I saw Voltron was nervous, I was like, yo, we're getting the out of here. You know what I'm saying? And then that was it. And then we saw him again, on a TV show. You saw the TV show, right? When he came out with the kid, and he did that song, We're Sorry, 50. I was like, yo, I'm done, yo. I'm about to get killed out here. But Nigeria, I don't play with Nigeria, man. Nigeria is super gangster, yo. And I toured Nigeria too. I did MTV. I told Nasty Shit too. I toured every city in Nigeria with an army. We went from city to city because it don't make no sense to fly.
You gotta be protected.
The only thing I didn't like about it was just only for the elite. You know what I'm saying? Only rich Nigerians and shit. But all the poor people was outside, so I had to go out there and take photos with the poor people before I go in. It was insane, man. But,
that's weird.
Yo, I have my share, man. My share of Africa. I've been everywhere in Africa, so that's why it made sense for me to even with Nasty C because of my experience. You understand? So
that's crazy.
I'm just trying to see where is this going to lead to now. You're going to connect me with all the producers. You know what I'm saying? You're going to put me. I mean, what's next? Because you're working, you got new video every day, you got new music. What's going to be different and how you going to go?
I don't know, man.
With your projects.
All I know is that I'm one of the people, and MI is also one of these people. I'm one of the people that are trying to make sure that in about 2 years, 3 years time, when somebody from the state, an established artist from the States works with somebody from anywhere in Africa, it doesn't look like a charity thing. That's what's fucking me up. Right now, it's still looking like a charity thing. People still try to celebrate the fact that this guy from America worked with this guy from Africa. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to put it into, bro. People have to embrace the songs for what they are. You know what I mean? It has to be about the song. Is the song a smash? Yes or no? Don't look at it like it was a charity case or shit like that. That's all I'm trying to do, bro. You know what I mean? That's what people me, M.I. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Word. Respect. And you're doing it, bro. This, They Don't record, bro.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about it. So I'm recording and I go to my producer's house. I'm downstairs and somebody that I respect put up a tweet and the tweet was, he said, yo, Nasty C just knows how to make good music. He's like a Nigerian music reporter. And so I was like, oh, maybe Nasty just put something out. Because the last thing I'd seen before that was you freestyling in the studio. It's you're freestyling in, I imagine with Zulu. You're just...
Yeah, it was Zulu.
It's so sick. I was like, oh shit, maybe this record came out, So I pull it up. And we're working on happy shit in the studio. And I hear this song in the car and I'm just like, yo. And I go upstairs, I play the song for everyone. We sit down, we just listen to it. We have a moment because that song is so. Couple weeks later, I see a mail in my box, and I'm listening to the song, and I'm like, oh, it's so good, yo. Couple weeks later, I see an email. They're like, yo, would you just possibly be interested in doing a remix for, and I was like, try to play it cool. I'm like, yeah, I mean, whatever, sure. But I was like, yo, this record, like, the same record, I said everyone like 4 days. I was like, yo, this record came back to me. Like, this record, it hurt my soul. But that's such a powerful record, man. And to me, that's like when you speak about like it just being good music, it's not some novelty like I paid money for a collaboration and you just sent me like this is a record that, you know, both of you like created art together. You know what I mean? And that should really, I mean, the only barrier to doing that should be the distance, right? But you're correct in saying that there's some like there's some barriers that are, you know, oh, these African artists are a certain way, which is changing quickly. But also on the continent, it's like, oh, you know, people say that to me a while back. They say, you haven't worked with any international artists. And I was like, yeah, I worked with Casper, I worked with AKA, I worked with Sakade, I worked with like, what do you mean? Like,
that's international, bro. Like
what you mean is I haven't worked with any American artists. Yeah. Like, exactly. So, but you're correct. Like that has to change. Absolutely has to change. And sure. I mean, the more people hear the art, you know, and they hear the music and they know how dope artists are here.
I think now because the world is getting so small because of like the internet and shit, they're starting to see how relatable they are to us and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like we go through the same struggles. The ghetto's the ghetto, bro. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You could be in Spain, Barcelona. The ghetto is the ghetto. You know what I mean? We all come from that shit. We all come from like all the hurdles, all that, like all the struggles, bro. Like we all go through it. You know what I mean? And when it comes to music, it's such a, especially hip hop, it's such a special and unique art form because the way we put it, it's not like we're writing a novel. So we don't go into every single nitty gritty detail about where you come from. So when you put it in a very swaggy way. And when it's like that, it's very, for lack of a better word, it's like vague. But in the most perfect way, because it just means no matter where you are in the ghetto, this is not only just for people in the ghetto in Nigeria or just in South Africa or just in Angola. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're really putting on, bro. And I think they're starting to understand that, right? Like I just got a DM from Jackboy. Who Kid? You know Jackboy? He's a Zoe. You Zoe too. Like you Haitian too, right? Yep. I just got hit up by Jackboy, and that's crazy. That's like he's a street dude from America, dog. Like I wouldn't even imagine him even knowing about Africa. Like he's just like Miami. You know what I mean? Like, and he's reaching out to me because he heard my music, and I think that they're starting to realize that, hey, bro, like we're the same, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we're the same. We're the same thing, bro. We're the same.
Keep building the bridge, man.
Yeah.
It's true. Like Obi, you know, like in America, like his music style, I don't think people are looking at him like he's an African artist. Like they're just looking at, like they respect that he respecting the culture, but they're more towards the music, like the definition of how good his music is. That's the vibe I'm getting. I get more Nasty C name than, oh, that's some African kid from he's an African rapper. Like I don't get that. I get more of like, this is Nasty C and he did this joint with T.I. and he's a spitter. So you're getting like 60% of what you really want, how people you want to be viewed as, because I get it all day. His quotes, his bars, people recite his shit, people hashtag his shit, where Nasty C got to keep telling them that he's from South Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like he has to keep, you know, putting up the flag emojis. He got to keep repping. And then that some people will be like, oh shit, he's from Africa? Get the fuck out of here. But the energy I'm getting is the generality of just his name and who he's working with. So that's why I think like even him collaborating with more artists, I think the Nasty C, even having like a name like Nasty C is an old school hip hop proverb. You know, it's just like, yo, I'm nasty, son. Like all the old school rappers used to say that, you know, like Big Daddy King, you know, he nasty, Rakim. I interviewed Rakim. He's still old school. Like he still say fresh, he still say nasty, but I think it's a bold move to even pick like a classic. You know, he could have been anybody. He could have been like any other name. You know, it's hard for me to describe. It's like me being DJ Scratch Master X, like, you know, like I became a Whoo Kid because my mother used to take shit, you know, so my father would be like, whoo-wee, like I got a dumb background, but you actually pick like a classic like name to even rep yourself, which is like, but it's easy to remember here, and then all you have to do is really just keep working, and then you have good producers there. I see you linked up with experts and shit on this panel, as you can see, with the remixes and all that. I think time is what you have to be successful. It's not about like the quality of music or you need work on this and that. I think time is going to bring you to the next level. Yeah. So it's because that's really how hip hop is.
Obi's like truly the OG. Like he was like in the UK. He would bring like, I mean, he could speak to it, but he'd be like Slick Rick and throw parties and like a huge like student, like university promoter, and then moved back to Nigeria. Started the first like hip hop record label that blew up, like a guy called NATO C. He was close to name is close to Nasty C, but blew up NATO C, and so Obi's like OG for real. Like Obi's OG for real, like one of the godfathers of this whole Nigerian shit that's happening. I just wanted to say.
And I know he knows my whole history. You know?
It's
definitely
crazy.
Knows my whole background.
It's crazy you mentioned NATO C, man, because see, after I think your song was the first one I saw. The MI song, actually, the Mr. Incredible song. You remember that? You remember that shit? That right there is what put me on to like Nigerian hip hop, and then I started taking like a deeper dive, and then I started finding like Ice and NATO C. And when I found NATO C, I was like, oh. I was like, what have I done? Like, cause I saw the similarities in the name, and I was like, oh. Like I'm gonna get like a whole lot of like backlash, but he was mad cool about it, and he showed love, man. That's crazy. Shout out to him, man. If you see him, like I never really get the chance to speak to him.
C is I mean he did his thing, man. Like I'm not sure how much more music he's gonna put out, but he did his thing, man. He was one of the first people that had like a continent-wide hit. Big deal. Like he was big in South Africa, big in Nigeria, big like you know what I mean. So
and that link with him and Double HP, I think it was him and Double HP. That link also was very important. It played a huge role because after like me speaking about him, people didn't really know still, and people didn't really like care. You know what I mean? And then when that started happening, people started to see the bigger picture, and from there onwards, like I think that connection with SA and hip hop, and Nigerian hip hop, it just got out of control. Like with Ice and AKA and them, Burner and that shit just went out of control, bro. Yeah. Shout out to them, definitely, man. They definitely one of the soldiers that got it moving. Like,
man, it's a beautiful story, man.
Yeah,
like to watch just everything happen and progress, and then see like like giants of the continent emerge, which you absolutely are one. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful story that we're writing here. Whoo Kid, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite? You've seen it all. What's been your favorite like era of hip hop?
Well, I guess the Biggie and Tupac era. I'm like that. I think that's like more excitement, and it was just like historically, like I don't know. It was just like amazing the music they were doing, and culturally the way they were like a tidal wave. Like I'll bring Africa again because I respected that era so much. Is when I went the first time to South Africa, I saw like Tupac murals everywhere. I went to like Ghana, I saw Tupac paintings, graffiti with Tupac. I think Tupac was more like respected all over Africa than Biggie. But me being from New York, me being a DJ, me seeing like the club, I was more on the Biggie side because like I'm the type of guy that I really don't want nobody teaching me. Even though I respect Nas, I respect like Kendrick and all these guys. Like they're put on this planet to give the awareness of kids that are like lost. Like that's why like African kids kind of like gravitated either through stories or from the teachings of rappers. I never wanted nobody to teach me. I'm not like I listen to my dad and my mom. I don't want Nas telling me like, yo, you gotta go to school or I don't out of here. You know what I'm saying? But that's me. But that's what I'm saying. But I stopped being ignorant to that way of thinking because of me going somewhere where you see poverty, where a kid that's like hopeless, there is hope. Like it doesn't matter if you're sitting there. Like when I first met Kendrick Lamar, he was on the floor. Like I had to do J Rock's mixtape, and then I'm in the studio. I'm like, yo, who is this weird ass hippie kid on this first. He said, oh, no, that's Kendrick. He's in the back of the studio. I go to the back of the studio. Kendrick is like all hippied out, no gangbang affiliation. He's on the floor playing in dirt, like playing with ants. You know, when you're a kid and you're like killing ants and shit, like, I was like, what the f*** are you doing, nigga?
What?
Like,
how old was he? What was this?
This is like before anything, before even Kendrick. He was part of like some hippie shit. It was
black hippie.
Hippie. He was nowhere. Yeah, like
black hippie.
Like, he had like you know, he had the whole other crew. I was just there just to do J-Rock's Red mixtape, you know, 'cause he's blood, so everything was red and all this red. And then I meet a hippie who's so young, playing with ants in the back. Like, you look just like you, playing with ants, but you're just like a kid. I used to play with ants. I used to put like M80s or firecrackers in the ant hole.
Like make a maze and shit, have them try to figure it out.
Like, but that's what he was doing. But I told him right then and there, yo, I just heard your verse on some of the joints back there, and I think you're gonna be big one day. So the first thing he told me when he finally came to do the interview with me, he was like, yo, I never forget that day when you saw me like playing with ants and you told me that I'm gonna be big. Like that's why I'm like bugged out. And it's crazy, always the same repetitive. You know what I'm saying? Crazy, with the way I see, but I never wanted to be like taught. But me going everywhere traveling, and I see like it doesn't matter if you're in Lithuania, it doesn't matter if you're in China, it's the same. There's poverty everywhere. You just got to understand the different levels of poverty and different levels of hope. But the hope is always generic. Like you need somebody to look up to get out of your. You know, I don't remember who I looked up to get out of it because I'm more Grandmaster Flash. I'm like super old. Like I was around when there was no hip hop, and I'm still here. I used to listen to NXS and Sting, and then I find up hanging with Sting when I was hanging with Prime Minister Blair. Is me, Prime Minister Blair, Sting, and like the De Beers, like some ugly bitch.
Whoever thought hip hop would take it this far, man?
Yo,
bro, like
flex.
Obi gotta know all these stories. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is you guys are speaking Greek right now. This is Greek to me. I don't understand a word you guys are saying.
Man, listen, I saw Run DMC in New York in '80.
Damn. With the Adidas, when he threw the Adidas in the crowd?
Yeah, with the Adidas, man.
Oh, my.
I saw that whole man. I tell you, I brought Public Enemy to London in '89. Fight the Power. That's my premium hip hop claim. Yeah, we did that. We did actually. We were in university. We flew those guys over, man. Lost all our money, but we had PE.
You know what's up? But you know what up, Obi? You were there, I was there, and we never like connected it. Like
it's crazy, right?
Saw that show, but we never saw each other.
Yeah,
man. That's how you say the world is small. Even to MI. Like my question to MI, like you know, I figured it out how to get out of my way of thinking. Like when I first went to Nigeria, the artist was like, I met so many rappers, and you know, they might even be big now. I met them like when they were like in their lower case situations, but the issue that they had was, which I didn't know, was the languages in Africa that they couldn't really like get out of like the Nigerian box. How did you get out of that? To like, is it more like watching every other nation grow with the music, then you combine resources? How did y'all get out of the language barrier? Because I didn't know that it was like 30,000 different languages in Africa. So the Nigerians only could tour, but this is like way back. They were like, we can only tour like in this little area right here. We can't go over there because they don't speak our language. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what? So how did you get out of that?
I think there are two things about Nigeria that just make it unique. Number one is just the sheer population. So it's so like Lagos, the city I live in, is, they say around 20 million people, but it's probably, with everyone that's connected to the city, it's about 30 million people. If you put out a record on Friday night, and it's a big record, by Monday morning, it's a hit blow, because Lagos just has so much pull. Like if whatever is happening in Lagos, the gravity just pulls everything in. So that's one thing that sort of helped Nigeria. Because we're so many, there are Nigerians everywhere. So, you know, there's Nigerians in New York, and as soon as I blew up, like I get calls from Ukraine, from Australia, like, oh, you got to come out, Malaysia. Like like students, like there'd be a student group of like 100 kids. They'd put the money together, fly us out, you know. The second thing though is that English is the national language. So everyone sort of can communicate across the country. There's so much of like the bigger cultures, there's so much of it also entrenched in language. Like if you're a Yoruba person, you can say things that other people understand. If you're a Hausa guy, people understand. And then it was just time, and our population is getting younger in Africa. The kids need something to, you know, culture to band around. I grew up, it was only American music. So I'm like DMX, Lauryn Hill, that era, like 98, Mace, Harlem World, like that whole time, right? Eminem right before he came out, or right around when he came out. By the time I came back to Nigeria, this is around the time that Obi them are setting everything up. Like it just started blowing up. Like 20 years ago, there was nothing. There was no structure in Nigeria, absolutely nothing. And then it's a few people that start showing up. And before you know it, like Nigerians then like globally start being like, yo, actually this thing is actually, you know, it's actually moving. And then it just starts blowing up. Compared to South Africa, when you're in South Africa, you see that the structure to sell CDs and whatever is there, right? The big labels are there. Nigeria, most of these guys are just arriving again. You know, they left, 25, 30
years. Yeah,
years
maybe
ago,
30 years.
And they're just coming back.
Yeah. What was the YouTube system that kind of...
There wasn't one, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's more like this. MTV changed the law. Yeah? MTV changed the law when they came. Yeah? Mm-hmm. If you remember, because what it is like my label was a hip-hop label, really. I had only rappers. In fact, I was only interested in signing rappers. I didn't want any singers. I was like, all the singers were trying to get me to sign them. The Band, Two-Face, all these guys. And I really wasn't interested. I mean, they were great, but to me, they were pop, and that's fine. We were not pop. But then the thing about hip-hop is hip-hop unlocks your self-confidence, right? So that self-confidence, as it unlocks that self-confidence, that's the transition to Afrobeats, okay? You know? That's the transition to Afrobeats, because that transition is about the self-confidence. And once people began to rap, and they started to rap in Pidgin English, they rap in local languages, then the beat started to change, right? Because, you know, the Africans like to dance, right? The Africans like to dance. Then you get that groove into it. And that's the evolution to the Afrobeats, as opposed to Afrobeats, which is Fela Kuti. So Afrobeat, it's evolved what Black people do. We remixed it, right? So we took the hip hop and the R&B and the dancehall, and we flipped it, and it's now Afrobeats. That's really what it is. It's a direct relationship. So all the music is related. It's all like
is there a difference? Is there a difference between Afro pop and Afro beats? Is there a difference?
Yeah, kind of, because Afro pop is kind of more. I don't even think in Nigeria we'd have that much Afro pop. MI will tell you have this other sound called the Ote people, which is kind of like alternative. It's an alternative movement. Afro pop was more like a genre thing that came out of SA, from the major labels in SA. We started seeing that name. But before the name Afrobeats even came, we were working around trying to work out what the name was for what we were doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because we were doing hip hop originally, then it started to evolve. Yeah, we were rapping and then it started to evolve. Guys start bringing in the local melodies from Fuji music and Juju music and the high life. And then that begins to flip the music. And that's what, so Afrobeats is fusion. It's high life, Juju, Afro Juju, plus R&B and dancehall and hip hop, all mixed together in a gumbo. That's Afrobeats, right?
That's crazy.
That's the way I look at Afrobeats. Afrobeats is extension of hip hop.
That is crazy.
Even the name
I've never known that.
When did the public start respecting like the rappers? Because in the UK, in the beginning, they weren't really with like rappers trying to sound like American, and then all of a sudden, Gig, Skepta, all these guys came out, and they just had like the traditional UK style where the UK fans kind of like didn't worry about what was going on in America or anywhere else. They started respecting like the UK artists. When did it start in Africa? When did it start in Nigeria, where like the first rappers?
It's us and MI. It's like we had a rapper called Nato C who was blazing it. Gasha, who was still is an incredible MC. And basically what happened, people like, what's my man that died, man? HHP, right? So I'm plotting collabos with HHP in 2006, 2007. So I would say by 2007, 8, hip hop in Nigeria was solidified, right? And MI comes maybe about the same time. And by the time he came, it went to a whole different conversation. Because, I mean, the reason he's called Mr. Incredible wasn't just because of whatever. You were talking about you're talking about Kendrick earlier. I always said, I mean, MI's on my boys' label, they were doing their thing independently, but I've always said, if you put MI on a record with any MC on the planet, and they survived the record, they did well. I don't care who he is.
Hey, that's facts. I'm not even going to hold you, bro. That's facts.
Go bring them all. Bring them all.
That's
and Nasty C, let me tell you, your album is dope, man.
Appreciate it.
I've been listening to you on the freestyles for the last 2 years. Colin been harassing me. When you guys were in London about a year ago, and you were going to Germany or something, we didn't get to meet, right? And I hear you. I see you. You destroyed every single one of those scenarios they put you in.
Appreciate you.
Fire. What's his name? Charlie.
Fire in the booth, Charlie.
yeah, man.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
Wow.
I appreciate you.
But the thing is, who could? We've got superior MCs here, but Afrobeats grew so big, they haven't sort of heard our MCs yet. That's how I feel, right? Right. So we have boys who are spitting just in Yoruba, who are spitting just in Igbo, spitting just in Hausa. Then you got the guys spitting in Pidgin English, and then of course guys in English. It's multilingual. It's vicious. You don't even have to understand what they're saying to know that there's bars. Yeah.
That's the last thing for me is that I think when I listen to Nasty's music, he reminds me of what hip hop should be now and its progression. Because I really think the gift of being a rapper is about perspective and how to manage words. And then it doesn't actually matter if you're singing or any rapper or any spitter will listen to you. Like, even if you're doing a melody on a hook, they'll listen to you and be like, okay, that's nice. That's nice. You know what I mean? And with there was an era where, you can't even do a hook or whatever. Now I'm happy. We're in a better place where you can be musical. Like, I love the stuff you do with Runtime. That's amazing. Your shit on particular, that's also part of the journey, right? Putting out monster records that cover the whole continent. But it's always about that perspective. Like, the mind of a rapper on anything, you'll hear it. You know what I mean? Like, you'll hear the way he flipped that, or this punchline, or
Yes. Even on the soft shit. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, G. This means a lot coming from you guys, man. You don't understand, bro. Like, I was in my school uniform watching you rap on top of it. You remember the Mr. Incredible? You were standing on top of your name rapping. I had never seen anything like that come out of Africa, bro. I'm telling you, like, that's definitely that joint right there. That joint right there, and what's this? Olamide and Fino.
Ghost mode.
Ghost mode. Oh my God, bro. I'm telling you, those are the joints right there that make me feel like, okay, cool. Like, this shit can really go far, and we have potential. It's not like we're starting from scratch. You know what I mean? So this means a lot coming from you guys, man. Serious.
Nasty C, let me tell you something, right? Because I'm a bit older. I'm like Whoo Kid. The first MC in South Africa that I rated, that I rated bar for bar was Proverb, right? Proverb is my man.
Legend.
He was coming with lyrics for days. And then Pro Kid, right?
Yeah.
And then there was these kids, HHP. I mean, these are the boys, right? And then you had Slikour. There's a crew, I just can't remember the name. They're like 5, 6 of them out of Joburg, right? And then there was, because the thing about it is, when AKA came, we were like, oh, okay, the level just stepped up. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, okay, this one trying to be like NATO. That's immediately what I said. The first time I saw him, I said, oh, he's got that NATO C kind of thing. But we didn't really hear anybody that we were thinking had the bars like MI. Mm-hmm. Then Casper came. I was like, okay, this guy can rap, And then I started seeing you on the tracks with David and Runtown. And I'm like, this guy, to be honest, I was just thinking you were just doing the easy stuff, just flowing. I think it was when Colin just kept sending me, I heard some freestyle early stuff and I was like, oh my God, who the hell is this? You know?
That juice back? That's juice back?
That's love, man.
Man. No, because it's like Whoo Kid was saying, because what I love, I mean, even at this age, I'm addicted to my reaction channels. I was telling MI the other day. So I'm watching all these reaction channels on YouTube and I'm seeing all these American kids losing their mind over you, Stogie T. And, you know, in fact, the unfortunate thing is our boys don't get the access to the platforms because then the story gets bigger, right? You know? Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of it. It's like getting a bigger story because to me, it's like Nasty C is leading a new generation of African MCs. That's really what it's about. You're leading a new generation, man.
Appreciate it, man.
It's funny you say that, Obi, because I really don't talk about myself. It's when I saw my kids brought up Nasty C name up. So, you know, even though I did Skepta's like that, like I did Skepta's project and I've done a lot of like touring and with him, same with all the other UK artists. But when I see that my kid, who's like half Japanese, half black, is shouting out, yo, Skepta got a show in Brooklyn, we gotta go check out Skepta, and I can't believe you know Skepta. They didn't even know I did the mixtape. So that's already like, they're like, you know, the kids of this generation are the A&Rs, you know what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons that it kind of helps me make choices and me looking cool because of the younger generation giving me info. And if I see that, oh my God, they'd be like, yo, you fuck with Nasty C. Not only do I get points, you know what I'm saying, because I fuck with Nasty C, but I trust what the kids are listening to because this is not our era no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like a worker, or I'm just looking in. I'm the bald guy in Marvel that's in outer space, like, you know what I'm saying? That's just looking at everybody like
Professor X. So, you know some Professor X.
Yeah, and numbers don't lie. You know what I'm saying? If I put out an illegally not cleared mixtape through Audio Mac, you know, even if I did it with like the local rappers here that are big, but I've never seen like 10 million streams from a fucking illegally put out, not cleared mixtape. So
not mastered, not mixed.
It's just gonna come together one day, and it's gonna make sense. But my final question is, how the fuck did you get out of like your box to be the number one rapper in your genre? Like I hear there's like crazy spitters out there. How'd you get to the level of like being that number one guy?
I was stuck in that box when I used to do mixtapes. So my mixtape Price City, I was in that heavy. Like I was just like going crazy. It's almost like I was trying to prove that I could rap. But and I expected that mixtape to take me out of Durban, at least break me out of Durban so I can be in another city celebrated. You know what I mean? Like I was just tired of being in Durban. And it didn't do that. Instead, what happened is people didn't really appreciate the stuff where I was going crazy on, and they actually with the slower songs where I was trying out the singing. I was just trying it out. Like Drake was out at that time, and he made it cool for rappers to sing. You know what I mean? So I tried it out, and people liked those songs. The songs about nothing. People liked those songs more, and I was like, okay, cool. How do I use that, but actually like also leverage the fact that I can actually spit and put out dope songs where there's a balance, where you get the melodies and you get the catchy shit, but there's also substance. You know what I mean? I'm not just talking about a bunch of nothing. There's also substance in there. You could walk away with a couple bars and say, it says shit. You know what I mean? And I think just having that mentality through and through and just trying it out repeatedly and seeing the songs work. You know what I mean? Because every time I go into an album, like album mode, I have to have a couple of those joints where I'm not even expecting it to have even replay value. I just want to spit shit, and I want you to hear it, and I want you to respect me as a rapper. But there has to be a balance. There's some of those, and then there's some single worthy songs. You know what I mean? And then I started to realize a similar pattern. People always gravitate more towards the simpler stuff, the stuff with the melodies, the stuff people can relate to. You talk about killing rappers every day. Not everybody kills rappers. People don't have rapper friends, bro. Like you can't just be rapping about killing niggas every day. People don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like you have to talk about some people actually know. You know what I mean? And that's how you get to real people. Yeah. Real people want to hear real music, man. And I think that's how I ended up cracking that and figuring it out.
And you have to have a full 360, man. You got to get into fashion. You gotta fucking like, the whole
exactly.
Like
exactly.
You gotta rep a culture. Like that's the hardest shit. Like to be at a pedestal, you have to rep. You have to be somebody people want to look like, or want to be like, or want to dress like. Getting the music out the way is one thing, but then now you gotta map out. All right, what am I gonna do? What's gonna be my visuals? That's gonna be like, first thing you see is what people get and how they're gonna respect. It's the hardest.
It's like you have to be goals. You have to be goals. You have to be relationship goals. You have to be smart. People have to look at you like, I want to be like that guy. I don't want to get cheated out of my masters and this and that. You also have to be cool. You have to be careful not to be too woke. You know what I mean? Like people had to feel like, oh, this guy's just gonna talk about a whole bunch of like serious shit. Like you have to smoke some weed every now and then. You know what I mean? Like show them that you smoke weed. Show them that you're not perfect. I'm serious, bro. Bro, I'm serious. Like you have to show them that you're human too, and you have all these vices too. That's how people gravitate towards artists when they feel like, look at how Eminem's got like a cult following. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't really have to make a hit ever again in his life, but because people know that he's f***ed up as a person, but he still like managed to like come out as king, people will always respect that. You have to show him your flaws, bro. Like you have to, bro. Like that's just how it works.
Watch the blogs. Take that one clip of Nasty C and be like, Nasty C, rapper Nasty C says Eminem is
up. Eminem knows he's up, man. He's a legend, but Eminem knows he's up.
Eminem will probably be like, yeah, he knows.
Yeah, bro, he rapped about it, dog. Come on, bro, and that's shit right there. I'm telling you.
Eminem is definitely in everybody's DNA, no matter what anybody say. And then I think that's what Nasty C's goal is, to be in everybody's DNA, man. And like I said, time is really the answer to getting to your goals, man. It's just a matter of time,
I appreciate you guys so much, man, for doing this for me. And not only just for me, this is for a bigger cause, man. So I appreciate you guys. As big as you guys are, you guys didn't even have to make the time for this. So you guys just making the time for this and riding for the cause, I appreciate you more than I could ever explain, man. So thank you guys for being a part of this, sharing your gems, really putting us on, and you guys continue to fly the flag, man. Even you, Whoo Kid, like from the other side, you're helping us get across, bro. That means a lot. I can never even express that in words, bro. I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of Zulu Man with Some Power podcast series brought to you by M Studios by Old Mutual. If you want to find out more information about the facilities and resources that they offer or revisit some of their masterclasses, the time is now to visit mstudios.co.za.
Music has changed. How it makes us feel never will. The time is now to visit mstudios.co.za.